Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Masters of Marketing. My name is Tara Levy, and I'm the marketing coordinator with Marmind and your new host. Now, our next guest, I am super excited by, and I'm not ashamed to say I did a slight little fangirl dance when he said that he would join the podcast. Ian Evans from TLDV, welcome to Masters of Marketing.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. Um, for anyone that doesn't know, TLDV is an AI-powered note taker, kind of built for sales managers, customer success teams, business leaders. Ian, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It combines recording, transcription, and smart meeting summaries. But we're not really here today just to talk about TLDV. We are here to talk about the social content and the social marketing, which, if I'm not wrong, Ian, you yourself spearheaded, and you now run with a team of there's three of you, Tom and Renee as well.
Actually, Tom was our first creator, and I love that you say I spearheaded, but really it was our one of our co-founders and CEO, Rafa, who really sort of was like, I want to get creators. He found us, and he was like, go have some fun, guys. Mhm.
Yeah, and you definitely did have some fun. I think a lot of people kind of all over Europe will recognize, I think, your face, Tom's face, and now Renee's face from the videos, like your social video content. In no way am I saying that your video content is the only social strategy that you guys have, but I think it's the most accessible for people. For anyone who doesn't know, you should definitely go check it out. It's all over LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram, and it basically centers on showcasing kind of humorous, practical workplace and productivity within corporate humor. You guys definitely brought, I think, a new meaning to the words corporate humor and made it very accessible. I think everybody who watches it will kind of recognize a colleague of theirs within the video. You know, they'll think to themselves, that's this person that I worked with, or I've worked with that version of the CEO, or in my case, oh my God, I feel so seen. That's me as a marketeer. Maybe I should go apologize to sales. But how did you guys, how did this come about? Like, how did you guys go from we're software as a service, we're a meeting recorder, and then we need this specific tone of voice? How did this come about?
Um, a lot of experimentation. So when I think back to, like why it worked, um, TLDP was very clear on what kind of content they wanted. They knew
Hmm.
that their audience online was the corporate humor audience, the work from home niche that was, born in 2020. And so when they started looking for creators, they just found anyone in the corporate niche. They DM'd everybody and they were like, would you make content for us? And the brief was quite simple. It was like, if you would make it for yourself or the audience you already speak to, make it for us,
Hmm.
because clearly this person already has the ability to talk to the right people. Let's just borrow that. Um, and I mean, we started very general. It was just work from home corporate, the days of you could just use a trending audio, lip sync to it, post it,
The
you're
good old
done.
days.
Million views. So we started with that. And then we slowly pivoted to like the more specific roles for
Hmm.
the use case of the product. So product managers, sales managers, customer success agents, and sort of once we kind of tapped into the very specific roles, I think that's when the ball really started rolling. And
Hmm.
then it became all about, just how do we make our audience feel seen?
I love it. So you guys really went for kind of, if I'm right, and correct me, like you went for building a community more than gaining followers. You know, you'd really try to access this audience to start off with.
Absolutely. And I think one thing they never pressured us was it was like never you need X number of followers by X date or this
Hmm.
department is canned. That was like never the conversation. I mean, deep down, we all kind of know that's the conversation. Like, if this doesn't work, we
It's
won't do
there.
it. Yeah,
It's under the surface, like tip
you
of the
can't hide.
iceberg, but they
Mm,
never explicitly said.
mm. But we were just focusing on like, what would these people like to see? What
Hmm.
is fitting with the algorithm right now? And if it's getting views and it's getting comments, people will follow. The community will sort of arrive. So it's just kind of a byproduct of letting us focus on the content first.
And then, so personally, I kind of want to know with letting the content be first, anyone can really kind of go on the pages and really see which ones have taken off. And you yourself said that when you focused on kind of the department, the faces of the department, let's say, that really took off. But was there part of it with the experimentation where you or yourself, the CEOs as a team just went, this is not working. Like we need to deviate. And the reason I'm asking is because I think with a lot of marketing, there comes a lot of frustration and stress when something you put so much hard work into just doesn't take off and it should. Why hasn't it? So the reason I'm asking is like, what was that for you? And how did you deal with that stress and that frustration? Because socials just amplifies it.
Mm. So I actually think I'm almost more stressed today than I was back when we were trying to figure it out.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, a little
That's
bit. Um,
I'm so sorry. Like,
that's okay. Um, at the start, it was really sort of experimental, obviously, but I mean, we started with freelance agreements for our creators, and it was like, you're not a full-time employee, you're not a marketer.
mhm,
We just need someone who enjoys making videos. Make them. Have a great day. And
mhm.
I mean, from like month 0 to month 6, I don't even think I was in the Slack channel. And
Oh
thinking
wow.
back, Rafa did a really great job of almost like shielding us from that pressure. Obviously, we knew it was there. And obviously, he was like, hey, this didn't go viral. Let's tweak it. Let's try something else. He was always pushing us, but it was never like where the results go.
Yeah.
And at the time, because it wasn't a full time position, I was job searching. I went backpacking for 2 months. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm between jobs. They want my TikToks. That's great. I
Yeah.
do think it's because I wasn't involved enough to be stressed during the experimentation
Mm,
phase that it worked.
hmm.
But almost now, what are we, almost 3 years now? It's like, hey, this has worked. What else should we try? And there's so much like, crap, do we keep doing what's worked? Do we have to pivot? Do we need to be really experimental? And how do you not get overwhelmed by that? You just do.
You
And
just
I think
you just
you
deal
just
with
do.
it. You just do. And I think, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think anyone who has worked in socials, there really is that kind of sink or swim moment where you're like, I'm going to tread water minimum. It's going to have to carry on. And you guys have owned such a niche in such a saturated market. Like the SaaS market is so saturated, but how does it feel to kind of be owning that niche? But then also, how did you define that you stand against to stand out, if that makes sense?
How do you mean, sir?
So as in you're standing against like a one thing that you guys do is you don't actually sell your product.
Yeah.
And I noticed that with a few of the videos is that you actually do explicit videos going, this is actually what we do. So you're not selling your product. You're like, why did you guys decide to do that as a marketing technique? Because so many, like anyone who works in marketing kind of knows the call to action. Like at the end of anything, there's a call to action. You guys don't do this unless there's something very like subliminal that I haven't seen. At which point, kudos. But like, how did that come about?
Again, sort of unintentionally, but intentionally. Like the
Okay,
priority was always make me a good video, never sell the product. And I mean, that really just came top down. Rafa was like, make me a good video, make me a good video. And I said, okay. And I never put calls to actions in because every marketer is like, well, that's not a good video. So it
yeah,
was never that priority. And then eventually, once we had eyeballs, my boss was like, okay, now it's time to like pitch them. And
yeah.
he never specified how to do it. He never said stuff in these keywords. It was very much like, you've already figured out the tone of voice now, deliver it how you think these people will resonate, how the audience will
Hmm.
resonate with it. And it was just a fluke the first time we pitched, not a fluke, but the first time we pitched it, we just noticed we kept getting these comments like, hey, are you a company? What is this page? I'm so confused. So we just took that energy and ran with it. And then it sort of became this like inside joke that we wouldn't do it. And we sort of played with the audience a little bit. But at least on socials, and for B2B especially, like nobody wants to see your company. Nobody wants to see your AI, SaaS powered, whatever.
That
Get
should
off
be the
my For You
takeaway.
page.
No one wants to see it. Just remember, every SaaS company out there.
Well, nobody wants to see any company, you know? But I think if you deliver 10 videos that make someone laugh or feel seen, it's almost like you're
Mm.
paying your rent, you're paying your dues. And now we're willing to listen. Oh, you are a product. Okay. Tell me more. Oh,
Like
okay. And
you've
yeah, and
reeled us in
because it's
enough.
Exactly. So like it's a gentle push. I would rather people get curious and click the link because they want to know more than people get annoyed that I'm telling them.
That's fair. And I think as being able to see it as a consumer, if I step out of my marketing personality, then absolutely. Because I know I almost get annoyed with myself when I fall for the marketing. And I'm like, "Ah, how did I not see that? Like, I don't want to know. Like, why am I watching this? Good hook, but like, that's it. Okay, so you
Yeah.
guys have definitely kind of carved out a very specific voice. If I had to describe it, and again, this is
Oh,
from a
go
third
ahead.
party
Yeah.
point of view, kind of like snarky, it's smart, it's playful, with a play on the words, it's sassy, like in both senses of the word. But like, how did you guys land on that tone? But more specifically, is like, how have you guys scaled it without losing your authenticity? Because I think you can see a lot of brands on socials is that they kind of push for the scaling, which is very, very normal, and they lose the spark. You guys haven't. How did you scale and keep that tone of voice?
So by scale, do you mean like move to other platforms or like
Move
integrate
to
it
other
into?
platforms, grow your audience, and I guess this would lead to my next question a little is like, have you managed to generate leads through this specific marketing, scale in all senses?
Yeah. So again, tone of voice was very experimental. I think if you are going to go the creator route for your brand, if you're, say, the CEO of your startup, who do you pick? Pick people you really find funny. Don't pick people who make videos because
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of approval scripting, word choice, tone of voice conversations because at the start, our boss was like, you two are funny. Go use your sense of humor. And because
Mhm.
he trusted our sense of humor, then that tone of voice kind of just happened because, oh, that joke landed. Okay, let's try this one. That joke landed. And maybe it's easier if you're a company that doesn't have your tone of voice yet because, hey, if I have 10 videos on TikTok that all resonated, who cares if I drop the F bomb like 8 times in a video? Clearly that resonates with the audience. So then let's
True.
use it. But I mean, I don't think you could maybe pitch that at a company that's already established its voice. It's harder to
Hmm.
say, hey, let's try this. But if you have a social audience that's already resonating with it, run with it?
Run with it. And through running with it, have you guys managed to generate leads? Like, say you kind of look at a KPI for MQLs versus SQLs. Have you guys managed to hit a KPI with it? You'd hear a lot of arguments for, but socials doesn't bring in leads. Has it?
Absolutely. 100%. I think our record was a little while back, a third of signups were
Oh, wow.
they were either aware of our socials or they'd come from our
Hmm.
socials or they were a fan of our socials. Um, and tracking that social KPI, how do I prove this is working? We don't really have an answer for that yet. But luckily, because it
Fair.
is a small team, one of our co-founders is also one of our basically our head of sales slash almost our only salesperson. So if one of the co-founders is constantly hearing positive reviews about the social media, so they're not hounding the social media team to prove their relevance. So
No, it's being shown to them, to their face.
exactly. And we also get comments on a lot of videos like, oh my gosh, I actually use this product. It works. Or like I signed up because of this. Um, I made a joke in a video a little while back about like how many leads have I collected? No idea. And we got like 10 comments just being like, I'm a lead. I'm a lead. I was like, oh great,
That's
okay, it works.
brilliant. You were like, it's not that I'm fishing him on purpose, but this would be really great
No, how
proof for
many
my
of you
boss.
signed up?
Like, is anyone actually using this? Please, please tell me you are. Okay, so
But I
then,
think oh sorry.
no, 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 go for it, go for it.
I think it really comes down to like your leadership. Like do
Yeah.
they trust social already? They're not hounding you to prove it. Do they also see like my boss lives in the comment section almost more than I do. And he'll see every
Oh,
positive comment and
wow.
he's like, great, it works. So it's just that like overarching understanding that you don't have to
Mhm.
fight that it works is very helpful.
So so from what I'm hearing, your team, the whole company, it's relatively small, especially if your CEO, I mean, your CEO could just be obsessed with socials. I'm making a bit of a generalization, but how if you've worked at other companies as well, how do you think this differs and what do you think marketing teams should take away from kind of this style of leadership with socials? Because experimental, I think, is actually what social personally, I think is what socials needs. But I have also worked with people and companies before where the idea of experimenting with it and especially having humor with it is
Uh,
just so alien. And so there's no loyalty, there's no authenticity, there's no transparency, it's all it's all a guise, it's all a fog in front of me. Like, what would you say to that? What would you recommend to these bigger, more corporations that want to bring socials in?
so this is only my second job, and my first job was not marketing or content. So I would love to say, here's the answer.
There.
Um, I do think what works for us though is that our leadership team has always been very clear what needs to be communicated or who it
Hmm.
needs to go to, but they are very flexible on the how it's delivered. So,
Mm.
and when I think about it, my boss especially is very open to like, here's your problem, go solve it your way, but this is your problem. So,
Yeah.
kind of giving them the box and then letting them figure out how to answer it. Oh, that sounded very corporate. Um, that
Good
that
job.
works quite well. Thank you.
You can use that in one of your videos. Right. Done. Okay, so kind of to follow on with the corporateness of what we're talking about, and this does link to something you did say earlier. Um, you said at the beginning you didn't have KPIs. Awesome, good for you. I am so jealous. Um, like, but did you follow the metrics? And if so, like, which social metrics do you think actually reflect real impact? Because social metrics, and I might get some backlash for saying this, I think it can sometimes fake how well something's doing if the person you're pitching it to doesn't understand socials. So, which ones would you guys track, and what would you say actually works as a reflection?
So I'll just backtrack a little bit. We must have had KPIs, but I think protecting your creators from it is kind of helpful. You
Mm.
know,
Okay, yeah,
obviously
fair.
you need to prove it works, but you don't have to have it loom over their head, you know?
Hmm.
So that was helpful. What KPIs do I think really work? It is tough because I know presenting views as a sign of success is not perfect and
Hmm.
doesn't actually mean things are working. But at the same time, views are a really great sign that something is working. And
Yeah,
so maybe it's
absolutely.
your format or your hooks or your presenter or
Hmm.
your concepts. So
Yeah.
v- views are kind of like a I know how this system works. It doesn't mean it's working for you. I think obviously a simple when you sign up for whatever product you have, how did you hear about us? That's a
Hmm.
great sign. Those prove at least the funnel is funneling.
Yeah.
um, the social KPIs I like a lot. Comments prove community exists. I
Hmm.
think when a video isn't performing crazy well, I usually go back and fall back on the engagement rate. And
Okay.
even if a video isn't viral, but has maybe three raving comments about how obsessed they are with it, I'm like, that's still a win. That's still a sign we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Um, shares too, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. It can be quite looked over sometimes.
Yeah. Plus, I think shares, I mean, a share is meaning you're in someone's conversation, right? So people are
Yeah, true.
talking about you or they're talking beside you, or
Hmm.
like that's a great sign you've been included in someone's life a little bit.
That. I like that idea of it. It's like, someone's talking about me, and it's going to be positive, even if it's negative. All was it like they say, all publicity is great publicity, and maybe that's exactly what a share is. That's how we should be thinking about it. No, I love that. I love that. It's okay. I shock horror. I've been stalking the TLTV socials. I do apologize. You don't have seen my name coming up. Um, so I do have one question for something that you guys did quite recently on what I'm assuming was a company brand trip. Like you guys did this meetup. You did something that I think a lot of people in companies would love to do, but maybe their company wouldn't do, and that's the truth detection with the electric shocks. First of all, how did you manage to get that past everybody and get everyone okay to do electric shocks? And how has that done? And I say this because it's such a small niche, and you guys almost, I'm saying almost, went away from your whole, we're doing the personalities of the departments in corporations and in SaaS to these are the actual people who maybe were putting the personalities of, these people I worked with. So how did you get that past people and get that okayed? And how did it do?
So the lie detector test was actually Tom's idea. And I think, you know, when
Shout
you're
out, Tom.
creative as a weird idea, just run with it, you know? Um,
Okay.
it also wasn't a lie detector test. It was a children's game where if you hit the buzzer last, you get shocked. But we just had
Oh,
one person
okay.
off camera triggering the shock, making sure it shocked the person based on
I
if we
like that.
wanted them to
Just
lie or not.
it's just like the pedals are coming, the scales are coming away from my eyes. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we faked it. um, this comes back to one of those advantages of being a small team.
Hmm.
You know, like we told people ahead of time we wanted to use them for a skit or we wanted to use them in content. And some people
Yeah,
were like, I'd rather die. And some people were like, sounds so fun, I'm in. You know?
I love it.
So
I love the honesty
uh
there.
exactly. Um we at least on the team trip, we kind of want to just show the team, you know, like we're fully remote.
Mhm.
So the days we're all together. I mean, I've met my boss twice ever in 3 years. I've spent maybe
Wow.
5 days with them total, maybe 6 or 7. But we
Wow.
never see each other in person. So those,
Yeah.
sure, the lie detector game is a little silly or weird or not normal, but we're just trying to capture nice moments in the
Hmm.
team. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's really the MO. And the year before, we also did a team trip and we sort of just vlogged it all. And that was sort of right
Hmm.
when we were sort of growing really quickly. And people were like, I want to meet the real dev. Great. Here's the real dev. Quick little interview with them. And it wasn't about being funny. It wasn't about being relatable. It was just, this is who we are. This is, yeah, just show us. How did it do? You also asked that.
Yeah, I
um,
did ask that. So
I'm
one
going
moment.
really
There we
quickly.
go. I just had a call coming in. Yeah, like how did it do?
So the trip content usually great for engagement, much lower for views. But I mean that's as expected because it's much more niche to people who
Hmm.
know us enough to care more about us.
Hmm.
It's also not as optimized for socials because you know sometimes the first person in a frame isn't even one of our recognizable faces. So naturally, it's just going to perform worse. People, I mean, every video we do with the team is a reminder that we're a real company, which is sort of a very gentle pull to go click on our link and, you know, remind you we're a product. So yeah, we're having fun, but also you're like, right, they are a company. What do they make?
They actually
So
do something. What do they
mm,
do? Or oh yeah, I remember that they do this. Yeah, it's very subtle, but it's definitely putting another like vine out there for people to pull on.
exactly.
Okay, so then as content creators, you guys are just pushing out a huge amount of content. Like there's if I'm right in saying it's the three of you who are content creators, correct? Is there someone behind the scenes that I don't know about? At which point, shout out to them as well. But you guys are putting out a huge amount. So how have you guys kept that inspiration going? You know, you hear all the time of content creators having this basically creative burnout because you're around the same people all the time, you're working with the same people all the time. It's there's maybe only so far you can go. How have you avoided that? Or did you avoid it?
No, I burnt out really hard at the start of this year.
Oh God. Again, I love the honesty. Thank you. That's
No worries. Um, I do think first off, content creation is a full-time job by itself. And I think it's too often
absolutely.
looped into other people's responsibilities or, you know, so I find even when I try to take on other tasks, usually everything just falls apart. Sometimes I need to clear a whole
Fair.
day to get one video out, or it takes a
Mhm.
whole afternoon just to get the right idea. Like, just try. I mean, like at the start, shield your creator from everything and let them just create. Um,
Mhm.
that's been huge.
Yeah.
Also, being flexible on how much you post because I mean, like you say, you were like you just said we pump out a ton of content, but the last 3 or 4 months, I've been doing the lowest amount of content I've done in the last 3 years. So
Oh, okay.
people don't notice how much you actually post sometimes, I think. Um,
Yeah.
but being flexible with how much you can post. So at the start, we posted 5 times a week because it was just lip sync videos, you know, easy to produce. I can make
Yeah.
5 in 2, 3 hours. And then we started scripting like original jokes with talking, and then we went down to like 2 or 3 a week. And then when we figured out the characters and what content really resonated, we went back to 5 a week because if you know what works, it's easier to repeat it. And then I was burning out, so we went down a little bit, and then we went back up because we had a new idea. So everyone wants to post 5 times a week and have a great content calendar and be great, but creativity is not like that. And when you've got the right idea, go 100%. And when you don't have the right idea, maybe just slow down a little bit, you know?
So
Being
it's okay to
flexible with
accept
that.
the fact that it's a roller coaster.
Absolutely. And maybe just accept you're going to burn out too. Start learning about
You
that.
know it's coming. It's going to be easier. I love that. That'll
Yeah,
be the quote over this. Just accept you're going to burn out. It's
perfect.
going to happen. You're in marketing, please. And like to anyone who's kind of CMO, C level of your content creators will burn out. It's normal. It's fine. That should not be the
Yeah.
takeaway from this podcast. Okay, then. So maybe moving away from that slightly. Um, so again, this is from a little bit of research of your on what content you guys are pushing out. A lot of SaaS companies will focus on the pain points of their customers. Have you guys done this? Like, do you guys do this? Is it very kind of under the covers of what you're doing? Do you focus on the pain points? And what would you say the pain points of your audience are?
So absolutely, we focus on the pain points 100%. But I think where we are slightly different is that we don't focus on the pain points that our product solves. We just focus on the pain points that our customers have, period,
Okay.
in their life
Yep.
at work.
Hmm.
So if I think about our best videos, it's usually focused around a pain point between two characters, and then
Hmm.
usually it starts a fight. Yeah. But the fortunate thing about our SaaS product too is it's so general. Everyone has
Hmm.
meetings, everyone requires more information in less time.
Yeah.
So I can hit anyone who works in a company, even if it's not specifically the product manager.
Okay. So it's very much that it's like it's because again it's so accessible. And I think going into that with the I'm just gonna ask a little question. It's very, very general, but I really want to know. Do you have a favorite character to play? Do you have a favorite department character? Yeah?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Uh, which is unfortunately not our main ICP. It's QA.
Really? Why
I
is it
just find them
QA?
fun. I just see them as this like mad scientist character. They have like a
Yeah.
wrench and they run around breaking things and they get in everyone's way. But their work is very needed, you know?
Have you ever had backlash on a character? Like, have you ever had anyone complain in the comments or maybe complain to you saying, that's not what we like? It's really that's if I'm not a negative personally, I don't see them as a negative way, but have you had backlash like in that sort of way?
Not a ton, but usually I don't present a character a certain way until I'm pretty certain that's how they are. And
Hmm.
so I might have a couple videos that discuss a character or something about them. The comments filter in like, that's not right. It's like this. Or like, oh, that's so real. And then I slowly figure out who they are and then I deliver the character. So there's a bit of like temperature checking before I take a
Hmm.
position on a character. But also I try to pitch each character either as the lunatic or the one with the brain that day. And so if you're always, sometimes they're insane, sometimes they're right. No one is always the villain.
I love it. So not everyone is right, and I think that's very true in any company. It's sure this person might have the brain cell most of the time, not all the time. I think that's fair. I really like it. Um, in the constant podcast way, I'm going to throw back again to something you said earlier. Is that you
Nice.
said your audience is maybe starting to come into corporate life in 2020, which I'm kind of assuming overlaps with the global pandemic, which we all have such fond memories of. What have you noticed changes in your audience kind of as we went through that? And it was everything, obviously everything was remote and everyone needed this SaaS. Like everyone needed it in every area. And then companies stopped pulling people back into the office. Did you notice changes within your audience, changes that you guys had to be aware of with trends online? Or did it kind of, you were able to adapt?
I think we were very lucky that the content is weirdly general. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't rely on people being remote workers. It doesn't rely on people being in office 5 days a week. So really, I don't know if the whole pandemic 2020 office shift played much of a role. Um,
Okay.
I think the priority was always just on the characters, on their pain points, on their day to day, and that's going to be the same whether they're living that through Teams or in person.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. I do think like the corporate world has changed. Like hashtag work from home isn't really a thing anymore. It's
Oh,
just
good
like
times.
hashtag corporate, thank God. um, so I think that's changed. And at least the corporate world,
Mhm.
the jokes have to go a little bit further now. We've seen all the basic ones. You're on mute. Haha. Like you do need something a bit more.
It's like, yes, we know I'm on mute. That was a decision. Like that was a absolutely.
I
No,
meant to
I
be.
get it.
Yeah,
I get
thanks.
it. Have you ever gotten ideas from your fans? From people from outside? Have any fans or kind of followers had contributions or put in suggestions that you've gone, actually that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Hmm.
this is one of the best parts about having a small social team is
Hmm.
I'm still the one responding to comments. I'm still the one in the DMs too. So
Yeah.
I'll post a video. Somebody says, "That's so funny. What if this happened instead?" Or in my experience, this happens. And sometimes I'll just lift it straight from there. I'm like, great, that's the experience. Next
You're like,
video.
that's mine now.
All right. So, I mean, the turnaround time could be 24 hours because I'm like, I will use that tomorrow. I didn't have a good idea anyways. um,
I love how transparent you're being about this, by the way, because I think a lot of companies need to hear this, that it's you've almost now I think I'm right in saying you've created this full circle moment because you're the audience that you're kind of wanting to attract, they're now giving you ideas. And that's now this full circle and that they can then become leads. Maybe they're using it already, maybe they're just following you for the characters, but you've kind of really hit on those relatable struggles or aspirations maybe, and you've united your audience. You know, they're really here for you.
Actually, sometimes we hire them. Our
Really.
entire CS department right now. Last year, they were in the comment section on the team trip, and this year they were
Mhm.
on the team trip.
So hang on, let me get this straight. Through your social media marketing, your entire CS team,
Well,
that's
we
how
only
you
had two
got them.
people, so let's not pretend we hired like a fleet. But
I
yes.
mean, you still now have okay, your CS operatives then. They still came
So
from your marketing.
yeah, so we also launch. I think most of our job positions get posted to TikTok almost before they go to LinkedIn. And
Really?
the CS person we hired before these two was also someone who watched our socials. And I think one day we just figured if this audience is already here, like, well, we need to hire one. So, hi, we have a job. Do any of you want it? And then tons of applications really quickly. Um, and the team has grown actually. Yeah, we hired, I think our designer also found us through social media as well.
So this is really kind of I think to go out to anyone in any stage of marketing, whether they've been in it for 25, 35, 40 years or just starting out, is that the the power of social media, it's so strong, but you also can't really tell where it's going to go. And that's why you have the experimentation. And that's why you have content creators. And like you said, you protect them a little bit, maybe from the rest of the corporations in order to kind of keep it going because you would never have. I'm say you never have guessed. One would hope that, like, people who watch it, they see basically what is your employer branding. That's what you put out there, and it was people going, "Yeah, I want to work for a company that does this." But none of these videos, I think, were really, this is what we're like as a company. You've just said we're all pretty much remote, like we don't work together. And that's not what these companies show, these videos show.
Yeah. And I think on another level, if a company is willing to make these jokes or highlight these sort of
Hmm.
frustrating parts of the job, that means the company culture understands that this is the reality too. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's okay to have a bad day at work. It's okay to hate your job some days. Like it's okay for you to acknowledge sometimes your boss makes a decision that drives you crazy. So
Hmm.
if our boss is willing to let us make jokes where we roast the crap out of a CEO character, I mean, it kind of tells you what the company culture is like. So a lot of people have
Yeah.
commented, "Are you hiring? Like, let me join you right now." So it's like, oh, okay.
Just sign me up. I'll, like, take my money almost to just get me on the
Yeah.
team. That's amazing.
And
It's really funny though, because actually the reason that I applied to Marmind was that I was looking for a job, didn't see a job posting with them, but I was just kind of scrolling through. I mean, I'm social media generation, just scrolling through stuff, and I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and I saw a picture of one of our co-CEOs playing real life Angry Birds at the summer retreat. And that was it. Like I just saw that and I saw the amount of fun and I was like, I want to play that game. Where are you guys? Like, and I was like, oh my God, you're hiring. Like, let's go from there. And it kind of, that really is again the power of social media. It doesn't have to be on a specific platform. Like a company doesn't have to do um TikTok or Instagram. It's worked for you guys, but it's finding that voice, it's finding that niche and being able to go from there and resonate with your audience. I can see we're slightly going over time, which happens when I start yapping because I am basically a professional yapper. So I think the last question I would ask, and this is now maybe for our listeners who are starting out in marketing, content creation, social media. You've got someone who's going to kind of be starting in it or is finding it quite tricky. What would be your advice to them? Is there certain people to follow? Is there certain things to look into? What would be your advice?
Write it down so I don't forget while I talk. Um, I had an answer and it instantly left my brain while I was writing, so that's great. Um,
Got it.
oh yes, I'm back. Um,
Wonderful.
at least right here. Hi. On social media, it's almost like your product isn't your product. For example, my social media is my product, but the company's product is an AI tool, AI
Mhm.
SaaS meeting. So I almost feel like a baby product manager some days because I'm like, what do people want to see? What's good content? What will build a community? And it's often not the actual product. And
Mhm.
so answering the content first kind of lets you bring it back to the product. But understandably, that's hard to start when, or if you have a boss that's like, pitch this webinar, please. Like, no. Um,
I
so
like that.
thinking,
No.
no, it's thinking about what social media's product is and how it can relate to the product.
Mhm.
That's a vague answer, but hopefully it's helpful. Um, and then LinkedIn, I think, is my absolute favorite platform. I know people cringe a little bit, but you can find very smart people who are just sharing their thought processes. Oh, that's how you think. Oh, that's the podcast you listen to. Oh, that's the newsletter you like. And I'll find a lot of people on LinkedIn, follow them for a while. They post something, it directly relates to me. Then I reach out. I'm like, hey, longtime follower, obsessed with this post. What do you mean about this? And that's a
Mhm.
great way to sort of figure out what you can be focusing on too. And I think I've learned more from that platform than I have anywhere else, probably.
That's amazing. And I think that's so true. I think LinkedIn really is the platform where it's socially acceptable to slide into someone's DMs and ask them something about a post. Because if you did it on, okay, maybe not for like a company, post, but like on a personal post, if you just slid in someone's DMs and went, oh, but what did you mean in your caption of this link of this Instagram post? Someone would go, I mean, why are you asking? Like it's literally social media. Whereas you're right, LinkedIn is business social media. It's unique onto itself, and that brings its own cons and pros and all of that. And we could go on for another half an hour about that easily. But like we'll wrap it up there. So thank you so much, Ian, for joining us. It has been an absolute delight. I've loved talking to you, and I hope everyone who has been watching and listening has enjoyed it as well. Be sure to check out Ian and TLTV, and obviously then Tom, who we've mentioned, Renee, and everyone else in the company on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and on Instagram. And yeah, we're looking forward to having you tune in next time for the next episode. Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.